Victor Wong, unfortunately, who gets in the credits as Chinese cook. Amazing. Chinese cook. You know, he has a name, right?
Charlie. He has a name.
He has a
His
name.
name is Charlie.
Come on, don't disrespect my boy.
Cinematic Fantastic.
Atu, Barada, Nikto.
I'll show you who I am and what I am.
By a werewolf and lives becomes a werewolf himself.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Hello and welcome to the Cinematic Fantastic Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Weatherford.
And your other host, William Weatherford.
Get ready for opinions, dad jokes,
and bad jokes
as we watch and review sci-fi and fantasy films from the classics of yesteryear to the new favorites of today. Welcome, listeners, to the 19th episode of Cinematic Fantastic. William has just, before we started the podcast, he told me it's the penultimate episode. Does that mean the one before the last?
Yes, it does.
Thank you for telling me.
We only have one more episode in existence in this season. When the season ends, we will come back after a little break for some more content.
Are we going to announce the, we could probably put the season 2 episodes list up so that people can get a good idea of what's to come.
Yes.
What things may come.
Exactly.
What is it? Is that a movie we're doing? What's it called? Things May Come Around? What was that movie called? I don't know. I forgot what that movie. It's What Things May Come in the Future. What's the name of that movie? I don't know.
So last episode we covered King Kong, the eighth wonder of the world.
Oh, you did it again.
Yes, I did it again. It was revolutionary for the introductions of the multi-track sound system,
Yep.
which allowed, obviously, the amazing continuous music that we would get, and the continual audio, so the transitions from clip, there's not any cutting, so it, continues past, or they try to make it as seamless as possible, but, and it also did something really cool, was it also revolutionized the first using of the Dunning process of creating traveling mats, which was the fancy term back in the day for green screen. So
yes,
they called them traveling mats, and the way they did it was slightly different until King Kong came around, and they did the Dunning process, obviously invented by someone named Dunning, to where he would shade the actors in a yellow light, and there would be a blue screen behind them. And what he would do is he would, use the separation with the dyes. Obviously, there wouldn't be any color, so you could easily just use that to create your traveling mat, which would be what you used for the green screen. It was like blue screen, but then it used to be black screen, then they did blue screen, and then nowadays they do green screen.
They did a Black Velvet in Invisible Man.
And we'll get to see that in Invisible Man.
Yes.
Stay tuned for one more episode. Just hold on. And today, we are covering the Son of Kong. Actually, there is no the. It is just Son of Kong. It's just Son of Kong. There is no the. There never was a the. So, basically, to sum this horrendous movie up.
I don't know if I would say it's completely horrendous. It's bad. It's not great.
It's not great, but this is the response of parents saying that King Kong was too violent for their little children. This is honestly what it feels like, is a family-friendly version of Kong they could have in their living rooms, though not yet for 20 years, though, but you get what I mean. Just, King Kong was really violent, and so they're probably like, oh, it's probably too violent. Make something better for our children to watch. And so it's for instance, there was a film, 19-something, I don't think it was the 20s yet, but it was called The Great Train Robbery.
Yes.
And afterwards, they made a film called The Little Train Robbery, which was basically the version of The Great Train Robbery, but they made it for kids, to the point of even that, the actors that represented characters in that movie that were supposed to be dead got up and, waved to the camera before exiting. or something
Oh,
like that.
wow.
They literally just got up off the bushes, and it's like, I'm okay, I didn't die. You know, like the G.I. Joe moment where it's like, you've got to go, oh, they didn't die.
Oh, right. Because whenever in G.I. Joe, there were rules that you couldn't show somebody like actually die. Like, no, when it's a movie, all bets are off. But when it's the TV show, you had to show parachutes. Like if somebody got shot, if you shot a Cobra soldier in a jet, you had to see a parachute, come off of him, so he basically lands with no problem.
Another thing is that for this segment, I have decided to record my segment in mono. This should not do anything for you guys because we converted to mono anyway. But if it does, that's why I'm recording in mono. There is loss of information. Woo, woo, you don't know what side I'm on. Oh no.
You're on the dark side.
I'm on the dark side, or the light side. Nobody knows.
Yeah, you're gray Jedi. Who knows? So the thing is that surprised me about this movie is how long was it? It was about 40 minutes until Daddy Kong shows up in King Kong.
Yes,
and it works. And the studio was like, yeah, we don't want you to wait a long time before you show
and
Kong.
And especially when he got in the film, he just stayed through the entire film. But thing is, this film had a problem, which we'll play a clip here. We've only got 20 more minutes, and there's no Kiko. Well, let me tell you a little secret. It was on purpose.
Yes.
It was on purpose, guys. This was to save money. They wait till it's down to the freaking wire before showing Son of Kong in this movie.
Little Donkey Kong Jr. Yeah, guy.
Little Donkey Kong Jr. guy. He couldn't be in his own movie because they're like, oh, we need to save money.
What was the budget on Big King Kong? It was a lot.
It was definitely a lot. But this one, Marion C. Cooper at first was like, oh, we're going to do a sequel. He was just absolutely excited. Until they told him he had less than half the budget of King Kong, and that he had to have it in theaters within 6 months for Christmas at the time of when they told him, making Son of Kong. And he was just like, nope, I'm out. So instead, we have Ernest B. Schoedsack.
Ernest Schoedsack, he doesn't know how to say no.
Ernest B. Schoedsack is the director for this movie, and I don't think we even had a producer.
I don't know, but I do know that Ruth Rose wrote all of it. And I will say about Ruth Rose is that she writes pretty good dialogue between two of the main characters. And we'll talk about that as we get to talk about them. But I thought they were very charming.
So Ruth Rose quite literally, deliberately made zero attempts to make a serious film script because it just couldn't possibly surpass King Kong. So she even said, if you can't make it bigger, make it funnier.
Well, she tried anyway.
But thing is, this film had half the budget. Ruth Rose didn't even try. It was just a big travesty from the beginning. However, she did write a final scene where there was going to be, tribal warfare amidst the climactic dino stampede during the massive, earthquake that sinks Skull Island, spoilers, at the end of this movie. It would even have the creation models from Creation. We talked about that last episode.
Willis O'Brien's film that he was early on going to make, and they canceled it.
But yeah, we talked about that last episode. Definitely see that one. We're going to refer to basically a ton of stuff. They used a lot of the technology they used for the previous to make this, including the models. They reused the Kong models. They used Kong himself for little Kiko.
Kiko is an internal term. They don't call him Kiko in the movie.
They call him Little Kong in this movie, but
or baby,
or baby Kong. But yeah, they do reuse the Kong models from the previous movie for this one. And, kidified it a little bit, including near the Brontosaurus near the end as well. The Triceratops scene that we get in this film, where it's like a Triceratops kind of thing, backing them into a ravine.
Is that the Styracosaurus, or is it the Triceratops that wasn't used? Styracosaurus has here's a dinosaur fact. No, Styracosaurus has like a horn on his nose and a bunch of spikes coming off his frill.
It has a different facial structure, yeah, but
yeah,
they made that one for this movie, and that had like
that one was good.
That had the best stop motion overall of this movie. However,
the bear wasn't bad.
The bear wasn't bad, but their redesigns overall for this movie were just terrible.
There was a rush. The word rushed is definitely a word I would use for this movie.
This was made
rushed.
in 9 months, and considering the amount of stop motion they had to do in this movie and how long it took for the previous film, it's really impressive that they got to do that the way they did. It's really impressive, but it more likely ended up probably that they shot it in like 4 months and used the rest of the time for the stop motion. So
that's true. Or they did the stop motion at the same time or something. And yeah, I also heard that they were not only were trying to get it in theaters by Christmas, but they were trying to rush it in before people made like knockoff, rip-off movies.
The people who want to actually spend time on making a King Kong ripoff, and meanwhile they're just like, we're gonna make our own sequel, and it's gonna be the best sequel. Turns out it wasn't.
It's gonna be a King Kong ripoff that we made.
This could honestly be King Kong from an alternate universe. It's just a scary thought to think that there could have been a universe where Son of Kong was King Kong, and the amount of quality and time that it took was the exact same as well. That would be terrible.
It feels like a genuine sequel, though. I want you, the people that watch this movie, if you just watch it anyway. If you can find it, watch it. We'll put a link to it as far as purchasing it. I think there's a on Amazon. There's like a package deal of DVDs where you can get King Kong, Son of Kong, and you can. I think you could get the 2005 one and
Mighty Joe Young as well.
And Mighty Joe Young. That's not a bad set of movies to get. Anyway,
this film. The working title for it was Jamboree, as they started to make this film. As we would know, it would be called Son of Kong. And by the release of this movie, honestly, any plans to make a franchise, to continue their franchise, was off the table completely. However, yes, Mighty Joe Young would probably be a better sequel.
Well, it's like I told William before, it's a spiritual sequel because it uses Robert Armstrong, who plays Carl Denham in both King Kong and Son of Kong, is in that as well, as a different character, but he's very Carl Denham-esque. Plus, it reunites Willis O'Brien, who did stop motion for those two, and also doesn't have Marion C. Cooper and Schoedsack, I think, are also, and Ruth Rose are also connected with that as well. So it's kind of a not sequel, but it kind of is. So I would say it's a spiritual sequel because it's very related.
I think Mighty Joe Young they made him like a hero as compared to the villain.
He's cute. And you feel for him.
Yeah, you do. You feel empathy and you want him to succeed. You want him to, get out of the country and escape from all the bozos. But we'll talk about that much, much later. For now, Son of Kong.
Yeah, that's a hint. So yeah, another thing that was surprising to me was just how a lot of the humor in this movie was, I guess, they were trying hard, and I laughed at it, not because it was genuinely funny, but because it was like, what are we watching? This is so goofy. When I'll talk about the plot after the break.
Yeah, we had an extreme deluge of, criticism while watching this movie, and we're just gonna play it all here and let it settle.
What is going on, man?
Fire! Oh, fire! Fire! Now this whole production can go up in flames. Okay. There's nothing even super comedic even going on. No one's serious about anything. No one gives actual reactions.
What is this?
Thing is, it's called a skipper for a reason because it's skipping this whole movie. I wish I could skip this whole movie. Yeah, he did the thing his father did. He got nothing from this adventure. Neither did us.
Oh, the best treasure was the friends we made along the way.
Mighty Joe Young is better.
Okay, if you were to say some good things about Son of Kong, let's be generous. I'll go first, okay? I will tell you, I like Robert Armstrong as Carl Denham. He feels like a continuation of his character. He's a little bit more settled in his personality. Like, he's not as serious. I think he's kind of been beaten down by life and creditors and
another
and
thing
lawsuits.
is Robert Armstrong liked this movie better because he got character development as compared to the previous film. So
that's all he cares about. Well, he's an
that's
actor.
all he cares about, I guess.
Actors, they care about. I've acted a couple times. I'm not going to toot my own horn about that, but I've acted a couple times, and I do know character development is really important. But from a filmmaking and a film watcher experience, I would say
having joined this travesty, my goodness.
Yeah, just have fun with it.
Mighty Joe Young is better.
You know what? I will have to agree with you, but I will tell you this. We have some more Son of movies coming, and I think I've talked about it. Son of Frankenstein, which I think is a good Son of movie. Son of Dracula is an okay Son of movie. Son of Godzilla, yikes. There's some things to like about that movie, but some things to not. I think, honestly, by the way, I know something about Son of Kong that you might not know. And don't quote me on this because they may change things later. You know about the legendary pictures or films, Monsterverse.
Oh, yeah. They were going to make a Son of Kong?
The Kong series is connected is connected to Godzilla because they did it's Godzilla, and then it's Godzilla King of Monsters or King of the Monsters, and then there's King Kong Skull Island, and then there is Godzilla versus Kong, which kind of brings them together. And then they want to do a sequel to that, and
Son of Kong as well. That's
a bit of
a dumpster fire idea, but.
No, they're saying Son of Kong, but they're actually going to make it well done. I think that, if it's the same director, Godzilla vs. Kong is very entertaining. Once you watch the movies that they made in the 60s or 50s, 60s, and 70s, those kind of that over the top kind of sci-fi goofiness that Godzilla had, where anything science fiction crazy stuff is just possible. When you see Godzilla vs. Kong, it has elements of that in there. And I was like, well, might as well. The realism is there, but they also throw some goofy sci-fi stuff in there. And like outrageous stuff. I won't spoil it for you, but it's very reminiscent of the 1960s kind of sci-fi alien weirdness. And I was like, okay, I'm here for it. And if it's the same director doing a sequel, if they call it Son of Kong, I trust in them because none of the movies that they've done I've hated. I've liked them all. They haven't been like they're the greatest thing I've ever seen, but they're entertaining, and I like watching them. So this is a Son of Kong. I think if they make one, I think this Son of Kong would be one that doesn't suck.
So
keep an open mind, man.
Willis O'Brien had it hard while working on this movie. His wife, his children were killed by his own wife.
What?
She nearly killed herself with a gun.
What?
Addendum mortis. Did you know that?
No. Did she have some kind of mental breakdown or something?
Yeah.
What was the cause? Did you know what the cause was?
The cause was that she, killed his children and almost herself.
And so she just had a mental breakdown. It had nothing to do with anything that tipped it off.
No, but he would barely show up for work, though. Buzz Gibson had to finish his work for him. And he even asked to be removed from the credits. And they wouldn't remove his name from the credits, but he did disassociate himself from this movie overall.
Wow.
He had it hard. The addendum mortis levels were immense.
Well, another thing that I can say is related, or maybe, and I'm not saying that there is a connection, but with the movie Justice League was directed by Zack Snyder, at least a good part of it, and then Zack Snyder's daughter, sadly, she ended her life, and that and some other reasons he kind of pulled out of the picture, and they got Joss Whedon, who directed Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron. They pulled him in to finish it, and it's not as good. It has more of a humorous aspect to it, and it's not as dark as Zack Snyder's vision was in the other two DC extended universe movies that he did. He recently did remake it using a lot of different footage, and it's like a 4-hour long movie. But the thing is, though, when you go through something as horrible as losing a loved one like that, how do you bounce back from that and that tragedy to just make it work?
I don't know what other movies he worked on, near Son of Kong, like, afterwards. I mean, he did work on Mighty Joe Young, but...
That was years later.
That was way, way later, though.
Oh, okay, that was 1959?
1949.
1949, okay. Well, he did work on some stuff after that. I do know that he did... Or was it Ray Harryhausen, I think? Ray
Harryhausen was on Mighty Joe Young, yeah.
Oh, yeah, they worked together. But I think that, I mean, with that kind of tragedy, and you're getting older, I mean, you start thinking about retirement and, hanging up your tools, your stop-motion tools and your little sticks and rods and things, armatures. And who better to leave it to than Ray Harryhausen? Because some of the best stop-motion, other than King Kong, that I remember, and I've mentioned this before, I know, but... stuff like what's it called? 20,000, not 20. It's 20 million miles to Earth, and then there's 20,000. The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
Yeah.
I get those mixed up. And those two are really great.
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Oh no, I'm
No.
confuddling your brain.
You are confuddling my brain. So yeah, thanks, son of Weatherford.
So the reception of this movie, the film was a tiny, modest success. I mean, it made back its money, so I mean they didn't give much budget on that, though. So you can't have successes without investing, good money into it for that success, though. So the film, it received, mixed reviews. The New York Times described it as a low melodrama with a number of laughs, and they deemed it pleasurable, though the vision of comedy by the producers was iffy. So basically... Basically,
that's kind of what we thought.
It wasn't really comedy at all. And Variety said it was, it was fair entertainment. Rotten Tomatoes, it got 42% positive with 12 reviews,
Ooh.
5 out of 10. On Metacritic, the film also got 5 out of 10 on 6 reviews, indicating mixed or average. So everyone was just like 5 out of 10 on this one.
Yeah. Honestly, they kind of hamstrung this thing. It's kind of like going, hey, we want you to run, you ran that first race, and you came in first.
Now you have to do it faster. Now you have to make it till Christmas.
And we're going to get a big pipe and hit you over the shins.
Exactly.
So this movie had everything against it. So I
guess it had Son of King Kong, some of King Kong's, technologies, such as,
right.
multi-track, the green screening, although they didn't do such a good job with it.
The compositing with, where they,
Even still, when watching it on HBO Max, there's a couple of scenes, especially at the end, where the restoration just completely failed. And I was like, oh, no one cared about this shot of the movie, who? And it's just like, they just stopped caring about restoring the movie, and I thought that was really funny.
Well, okay, when you want to restore movies, you think of things like, King Kong. You think of things like Citizen Kane. You think of things like...
you think of things that are much later in life, especially, with that
or
quality.
just influential, and...
It's like The Monster Walks. No one cared about restoring it, except they mostly did on HBO Max. They just stopped at the end and a couple places in the movie. If you watch it on HBO Max, which we recommend, as well as getting a Blu-ray, you can definitely see that the restorations it did wane and wax.
Absolutely.
Before we get into the cast, and speaking of Citizen Kane, did you know that the island mat, with the birds flying across it?
Yeah.
That ended up in Citizen Kane somehow. It was during a beach scene. To save money on the beach scene, they were just like, hey, we have an island mat from Son of Kong, so let's go use that. But yeah, let's get into the juicy cast. We don't have too much production material on this movie, but hey, so we get two people I saw were important. Overall, there were a ton of people on this movie that weren't so important, and we already talked about Robert Armstrong all the way in the Most Dangerous Game episode. Well, go listen to that one. That one's a good listen. So we get the two I chose were Helen Mack and Frank Riker. Otherwise, that there are just some people who didn't have much on them, especially Victor Wong, unfortunately, who gets in the credits as a Chinese cook. Amazing. Chinese cook. You know, he has a name, right?
Charlie. He has a name. His name is Charlie.
He has a name, so...
Come on. Don't
disrespect my boy.
Don't occupation name him. Oh, by the way, to echo what William is saying, we have some people returning from the previous movie. Robert Armstrong.
Noble Johnson.
Noble Johnson plays the chief guy again. Some guy named Clemente who plays like the witch doctor.
They still do give him gibberish speech, which they would do for Africans for quite a bit. Like
Many
during
years.
This era, they would do it in, even Mighty Joe Young. They would probably do it a bit more. 1960s would kind of get rid of that, but that's for, people in America, African Americans. So I don't know how, the African racism train went exactly, though.
Yeah, the other thing is that, let's see, Captain Englehorn, he gets some more lines in this than he did in the first movie. Also, we do get a couple new characters. We get Helen Mack playing Hilda.
La Belle Helene.
That's her stage name.
But they would have an internal name Hilda on the credits, but it's not confirmed to be real. So
and the Swedish guy, what's his name? He's the kind of the villain for a little bit.
Niels Hellstrom.
Niels Hellstrom. Yeah.
They chose a very, Scandinavian, Norwegian kind of name.
Yes,
because
they
they're
did.
Like, it's a Norwegian freighter, so we've got to refer to it by some sort of thing like that. So, Helen Mack as La Belle Helene. She started her career as a child actress in silent films, moving to Broadway plays and touring one of vaudeville's circuits. She also did some radio later as well, when it was the golden age of radio, after all. Notably, her career traversed the inception of the film industry to the last days of vaudeville to the growth of television, says Wikipedia. So,
yeah,
it was important to say that.
Also, I think wasn't she they had a list of, we mentioned these actresses before. It's called the Wampus Baby Stars, and I think that she was
on there.
She barely edged out, though. I think she barely made it in.
I think she barely made it in, but yeah, she is a baby doll in this movie, basically. She
is very charming.
She's very charming, especially. She's got a personality to her. Don't make fun of her voice. Don't make fun of her voice. I'm seriously saying this. Just don't.
I'll try not to. Okay, so another thing about her performance in this character is that she doesn't seem like a woman that needs saving all the time. She appreciates it, but her character, she will stand up to people. She will accuse somebody of misdeeds, and she gets this look on her face like, I know what you did.
And she also gets to smuggle aboard a ship, as we get to talk about later in the plot. Yeah.
Yeah, she's very adventurous, very, very, very fearless. I think. And she works really well with Robert Armstrong, and they have really good chemistry, I would say.
Indeed. So, yeah, she took off in her film career at the age of 10 in the 1923 silent film Success, which would indeed be success for her, because next she was in 1923's Zaza, and she also had a minor appearance in D.W. Griffith's last film, The Struggle, 1931. She also had a Fox Film screen test, which came in March 1931, and within 3 weeks, she was on the studio lot for Fox Film. She made her debut as a leading lady opposite Victor McLagan in While Paris Sleeps, 1932. And before the film that she did, Sweepings, 1933, Mac's career had been sinking for 3 years, and 3 of her productions failed as well. But one reason was that she was ordinarily a character star, but no one used her as such, really, until RKO got her into Sweepings, that is. So she kind of got saved a little bit in terms of her career. But she is best known for Son of Kong, The Milky Way 1936, and the screwball crime comedy, which is an odd combination, His Girl Friday 1940.
Yeah, His Girl Friday is very memorable. There's actually, that's the reason why, if you remember, William, if you remember Iron Man,
Yeah.
after there's no Jarvis anymore, he actually uses another AI called Friday, and it's a female voice because it comes from that movie His Girl Friday, which is his secretary. So that's a really good comedy movie drama. I would say this too. I heard that she got married in the early 30s and had a child, but they got divorced like very shortly after that. And she got married later after her career was kind of closing out, and she stayed with that guy till they died. So and I think that he started out in the business, but he became head of NBC. So
That's interesting. But she also played an important role in She, 1935, which was produced by Miriam C. Cooper, which was probably where they kind of heard about her kind of a little bit, because Ernest B. Schoedsack and Miriam C. Cooper were tight. They were tight, man. So
well, they already worked with her with Son of Kong, and then in 1935, yeah, I've seen She. She is kind of an adventure. Kind of pulpy adventure story, with natives and underground peoples and all kind of stuff.
Her other roles included RKO's The Wrong Road in 1937, which Lionel Atwill co-starred in. So they were in Three's a Bunch, basically, for that film. So it was Lionel Atwill, one other person, and her.
But her career she was in, I looked it up, she did like on average 3 movies a year for quite a while, and she didn't have super success, but she stayed working, and being a working actor is not bad. But her career, after she got married and her husband had a lot of success, she moved in doing more radio and TV.
Yeah.
And she wrote scripts as well, kind of, I guess, following in the footsteps of Ruth Rose. Ruth Rose had success too doing that. So a lot of times when your career is not doing great, like when you're in front of the camera, sometimes you can really have a lot of creative energy come out from behind the camera, either making the movies or producing them or writing for them. So hey, stay in the business. Even if you're not in front of the camera, you can do a lot of great things behind the camera. And a lot of actors transitioned into directing. A lot of them did.
Plenty of people that did that, indeed. So next, let's talk about Frank Riker, which we obviously saw in the last movie, being Captain Anglehorn, whom we didn't talk about until now. So basically, we would have had one person to talk about. Oh no. Very, very, very thick production history, am I right? But Frank Riker, he made his Broadway debut the year he came to America, playing Lord Tarkin in Harrison Fisk's production of Becky Sharp. We talked about the movie starring Miriam Hopkins in our Jekyll and Hyde episode, which is also a pretty good one.
She was in Becky Sharp, Champagne Ivy herself.
Yes, and, he was kind of, on and off Broadway. On stage, Riker starred in such plays as the first Broadway production of George Kaiser's From Morning to Midnight, and the titular role in the original production of The Scarecrow, obviously being The Scarecrow, and the U.S. premiere of He Who Gets Slapped.
Okay. Is he the guy who slaps or the slappee?
He gets slapped. So.
Okay, but if he's got a wide career. When did he get into film? Because they always transfer. They kind of transition.
probably more during the 30s. He's better known now, at least now and as in then, as a supporting character actor, and is probably best remembered for, being Captain Engelhorn, but he's also been in Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye, 1950, and his last Hollywood role was in the very first Superman movie, Superman and the Mole Men, which obviously wasn't
Superman and the Mole Men. That is one of those serial. I think that's one of those serial cliffhanger movies. That starred Kirk Allen as Superman. Those movies were cliffhanger movies. You'd go to those each week,
and they'd be like serials, and then they would end with the cereal being eaten. No.
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 That was their version of like our streaming media, where we would watch an episode like on Disney Plus or whatever.
Come back next time for another exciting thing that's gonna happen sometime. This guy's probably gonna be saved from a bus that's heading right on from him.
You got to see if the hero survived being blown up.
He got dipped into nuclear acid. What happens next? He died. Imagine there was a serial where the next episode was, he died. Go home.
He thought he was going to be alive.
Go
He's
home.
dead. Go home.
Interestingly enough, we will see him in The Invisible Ray, The Mummy's Tomb, and House of Frankenstein. And
Engelhorn guy?
Yes, and we also get a character of Red, who is played by Ed Brady, and we will see him in The Invisible Man Returns. And that dude was also in so many westerns. 350 total, but
wow.
Well, 350 total movies over his career, but I don't know how many westerns. Just
how many
so many.
Well, a lot of those guys, like I said, after the 40s,
just got into westerns.
I will tell you this though. There were some other people that we mentioned that from King Kong that transitioned over into westerns. That's the guy who played Jack Driscoll transitioned over into westerns.
Yeah, he looks like he would make a good cowboy.
He's got that square jaw, and the acting's okay, and he's physical. That's pretty much. He's recognizable.
But that is basically Son of Kong.
That's all you need to be a western. Yeah, that is Son of Kong, the production.
My thoughts about this movie, as I said, parents, they go, hey, King Kong's too violent, make a version for us, and that's what they did. So
your mileage may vary on whether you really like this movie or not.
They just saved tons of money on it, and not much really happens. The pacing is really, really wonky, especially, and the ending was just Dad, as you'll have to see, he was just absolutely brain numb.
Flummoxed, perplexed, flabbergasted.
His brain was flabbergasted, and we went insane over this movie. Like, seriously, we went insane.
When we talk about the plot after the break, we are definitely going to put some clips in there of our reaction to this movie, because it's special. It's very special.
And here's one right now about me just devolving into insanity, just, shrugging my shoulders and laughing. And as you can see, I didn't even know what to make of this movie. This movie is a wild ride, but yeah.
Probably unintentionally.
Join us in about 2 seconds, even though we take a break, you don't, for the plot of Son of Kong, and we'll have to tell you what we think about it throughout all the movie, and just the roller coaster that this movie is for existing.
Yeah, it's unintentionally perplexing, I think. All right, so we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with the plot of Son of Kong.
All right. Alright, and welcome to the penultimate episode of Cinematic Fantastic.
Yes.
Today we are covering this little tiny speck upon the earth known as Son of Kong. But, a movie's a movie, no matter how small.
Nice. Or how ill-advised.
How ill-advised. Yeah, this movie, it is honestly just an average kind of movie. Indeed. This would kind of be more of what the other movies would be like, of the era. So it's pretty interesting. So I'll pass it along to you, Father, and we'll jump into the really, really cool opening credit sequence, which we don't get to see this anymore. It's a bygone thing, but yeah, what they would do back in the day sometimes is that they would, like, they'd have a character, like a little snippet of them, I don't know, doing something, chuckling, or just standing around doing, I don't know, some miscellaneous activity, and they would put the credits over it. No one does that anymore nowadays.
No, they don't, not really.
So we get a little glimpse into something that was just absolutely dunked on by, modern day. And it'd be really cool to see that happen again in a, legitimate setting in the modern era where someone goes, I'm gonna decide to do this again. Maybe for nostalgia's sake. But, yeah, plot.
Yeah, and of course you saw that they kind of duplicated to a lesser extent, the titles of King Kong.
They didn't do all of the background animations that they did, though. King Kong, the background was animated, the spotlights moving back and forth in a, amorphous pattern. And this one, it's just a plain background, so.
In the 2005 remake of King Kong, Peter Jackson King Kong, they do use a similar title sequence to what's in King Kong. I think they either do it at the end or at the very beginning. I think they probably do it at the end.
Yeah, the first shot of this movie is a zoom out from a poster of King Kong, the Eighth Wonder of the World, Carl Denham's poster. What happens next, Dad?
Well, what he's doing is in a way, he's kind of surveying, what the true cost of what he did. He brought it to New York, and like so many other superhero movies later, who you think may be the good character or the central character destroys most of New York. This is the aftermath.
He being Carl Denham, the director who aspired to make a movie involving King Kong and Ann Darrow, and the movie didn't go so well. Instead, he had to kill an ape with airplanes while it was on top of the Empire State Building, and now he's dealing with the lawsuits and charges by the damage control people who wanting to do. Also, the movie does begin very first off with a NRA, we support this movie kind of little plaque thing. And the NRA stands for the National Rifle Association. So this was an official, government section dealing with rifles. And we'll discuss why this is important later.
It's not necessarily governmental. The NRA is not governmental. It's basically a group of people in America that own guns and want to have people use them safely, purchase them lawfully.
Especially to all the children that were bound to watch this movie.
Yeah, that's what I didn't understand, is why the NRA chose this movie that's more kid-friendly to support.
They wanted their name somewhere so that they'd get more attention, and RKO's King Kong is very popular, get our name out there, people hear of us, and winky winky.
Yeah, kids, buy guns. No, they couldn't buy guns.
Guns rights, yes, totally.
Wow. Not to make this topical, but about a month, this is about a month after, I know it's 9 months after King Kong has been in theaters, but it's about a month chronological time. And Denham is hiding out in a boarding house, which is kind of like an apartment with and then the landlady is this older lady, and she's kind of helping him, but it's hide out from these people that are trying to give him summons. I don't know if you know this, William, but a lot of times when they try to give a summons, they have to stand there in front of you and give it to you. So there are some times when people catch someone who is in a lawsuit, they catch them unawares and basically serve them that summons. And some people actually will hide out and run away.
And the specific person who would bring it to him would be Mickey.
He's like a rag and bone man, which is basically
he is
junk.
A new introduction to this movie. We just jump in. We don't really know who he is. We just, see him hide behind a door and then peek out from it. The landlady saw him, but he peeks out and he hands him the summons. So, and I'm just like, who is this? No formal introduction, man.
You don't need a formal introduction. He's not a main character. Plus, he's just serving a summons. So basically, the whole joke of it is, oh, he's just some average Joe that is a rag and bone man. He's a junk dealer. Oh yeah, here you go. You're served the summons. But he does help him sneak out.
It's very hilarious. He does put a bucket on his head as a disguise.
He puts an overalls over his suit. Carl Denham does, and he takes him all the way down to the docks. He does meet Englehorn there, who still has the ship, the Venture. He's still a shipping agent. He still does shipping and things like that. Denham basically he's ruined. He can't really do anything, and he's got to depend on Englehorn to kind of rescue him here by giving him a job. They actually figure out that they could go into the cargo business and use the Venture, because supposedly because they're both in trouble for the King Kong incident in New York, they could get jail time. So they go, and of course Charlie the cook is there. He works on the ship still, and there's some other people, sailors. So again, these are not the most interesting of characters, but Carl Denham, as played by Robert Armstrong, he does do a really good job of keeping your attention, even if he's not as a serious force of nature as he was in the first one.
But what is attention grabbing is the travel scene where we get, instead of actually going anywhere, they just, put words on the ocean, just flying by, and they name countries and they go, oh yeah, we're traveling. Yo, this is so sick. Look at those words.
Yeah, well, hey, that's where, Indiana Jones kind of gave homage to that.
Thing is, that used a map as a map scene, which is a lot more engaging than just words flying by.
Yeah, it almost reminds me of, when they have, news that's going on, they have newspapers that fly at the screen and then freeze, and then they fly away, as if, hey, this is what's happening. Yeah, that's a very old school kind of thing to do. You're going to see that quite a bit, I think, until the more modern era.
But yeah, this was to save money indeed. So continue with the plot.
Yeah. So they are in Dakang, which I think is somewhere in Indonesia. Denham and Englehorn, they go into the local town. Denham sees a show on a poster. I think that it says something like there's dancing monkeys and a singing act by La Belle Helene.
And there's also sagacious seals.
Sagacious seals.
There's seals?
I guess you could say that this had the seal of approval.
I thought sagacious was like very wise. I guess they're really smart. That's fine. All right, so they go to the act, and we're gonna have to play some of the clip of the monkeys playing, because these little capuchin looking little monkeys, and they're playing little instruments. And I had an idea. I didn't tell you about this the other day, but I had an idea. I was like, that's what this is now. It's interesting that his giant monkey show that he wanted to do, and this is what you were really doing, is you were making King Kong just a silly monkey to play your little instrument.
Even still, I said, this is Kong's sons.
No, it's not.
Well, to me, it was kind of a, the people in the audience, of course, they're Indonesian. I think people from that area, they're very, other than Carl Denham and Charlie the cook, who is really digging this. He loves it. Everybody else is just real straight-faced, stone-faced through this whole ordeal. And they're just like, whatever, man.
They're just adorable. It's so sad to see them doing that.
What Star Wars nonsense is this?
It is monkey abuse. They're literally just making a monkey, one of them jump up and down as kind of like the main, I don't know, and all the rest of them are playing, the bass drum on its side. They get to, play the violin like a cello. Obviously they dub over it with some real music, because compared to it would sound actually terrible and wouldn't sound the way it was.
It would sound terrible. I want somebody to redub it with what it would actually sound like. And I honestly would die laughing. I really thought this scene was kind of so cringe.
It is
was
so
cringe
cringe,
and funny to me.
especially with, all of the recent memes where it's like, cartoons don't animate instruments right, and they go how it would actually sound.
Guitar playing, drum playing, yeah, I've seen that too. Now, the thing that Denham really likes is La Belle Helene.
Her father does say that, she's been
Before all the crowned heads of Europe.
And they liked her, basically.
Yeah, right. Not
100% factual information, guys.
Yeah, I'll take things that didn't happen for $1,000, Alex. So here's the thing: is that of course that's showmanship. Now, granted, why would we come against this guy for being a showman and not come against Carl Denham for being a showman and kind of spinning yarns about he was a god on his really. He's 40 foot tall. He was a god on his jungle island. Yeah, it's all advertising. Carl Denham is sitting watching somebody else advertise for their monkeys, and I thought that was kind of interesting because that's what he did in the last movie. So anyway, back to this. So the young lady who actually, she's quite charming, very kind of cute.
She's got something.
It certainly isn't a voice.
Voice? Who cares? She's got personality.
She's not like the stunning quote beauty that we've seen in a lot of these movies. She's cute, and you would like to talk to her.
She has all of the essence of a Tartar warbo.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so cute. He thinks she's cute. All right, so no, her name is Hilda Peterson. We only kind of know that from different hints and also text.
It's not an official name, though. We get Hilda in, the credits at the opening, but that doesn't get referenced again, so maybe they just put it on top as, oh, she doesn't have a nurse name. Let's just put that in there. And I don't know where the Peterson came from. Where'd the Peterson came from?
I think it's her dad. We're going to call her Hilda, and we're going to call little King Kong's son or whatever, Kiko, because he's called that in some production stuff. Anyway, the show goes on. Denham likes it. He kind of likes her. After the show, Hilda goes to the tent where her and her dad are, and her dad is invited over. Nils Hellstrom, he's a Norwegian captain to drink with him. Again, that's number one. Your biggest mistake is to be drinking because these two guys, when they are talking later while Hilda is gone out of the room, they are saying horrible things to each other. Now, is it all true? Maybe, but tempers are going to flare.
But the thing is, his insults are kind of the worst insults ever. He says,
Lost job. No certificate.
Over and over again. And that is supposed to matter. And I'm like, it is to the captain, but it doesn't really make sense, though. He's just like, no job, no certificate. No job, no certificate.
He's saying you're a bum. You're worthless. I mean, see, your worth as a captain was, can you get a ship? Can you get a crew? Can you get a job going? Oh, otherwise you're just a guy in a jacket and a fancy hat. That's what he's trying to say. When someone calls into question your skill, and I know that you and I would probably be like, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to let it go. When alcohol is involved, the thing that keeps you from doing something stupid is gone.
And he just breaks his bottle over, Peterson's head. And also sets the tent ablaze. So that is...
Yeah, because a torch falls over.
Don't drink, kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll make you give trash insults like no job, no certificate, no maidens.
Now listen, kids, don't drink, because then you'll have no job and you'll have no certificate. You know what? If somebody wants to drink and they're of age, please do it safely. Please do it responsibly. But let me tell you, I have not seen anything really good come from drinking in all my years. And this has been The More You Know. So, Hellstrom, of course, he makes a run for it. Hilda is at least trying to save the animals and pulling her father out of the burning tent.
She is a trooper, though.
She puts her dad and the animals above her own dress, but she does grab the dress, too. So, she pulls her dad out. Okay, she asks him who did it, and he dies from the whack on the head before he can say anything. So the next morning, she's got nothing. She's got nothing except the monkeys, I guess, and the clothes on her back, I guess, and the dress. And Denham is talking to her and asks what happened to her dad, and he says,
Say, that's no way to talk. I wasn't very good. The show wasn't very good. Cut it out. You want to tell everybody how good you are. Throw out your chest. Brag about yourself.
And their chemistry together is not bad. He never said that he hates women, so he's one up over Jack Driscoll. Honestly, he's willing to put women out there in the adventure, in danger, if it gets a good shot. So maybe he's like, I don't want you to leave the woman behind in the boat. I like her just fine. Let's put her out in the danger and get a good shot. So maybe I don't know. Maybe he's learned his lesson from that. He has changed quite a bit, somewhat. I mean, he still wants to pay off these debts, but who doesn't? If you've got debts, I mean, you want to pay those off, and so that's a later issue though in this. So she asks him if he's still an entertainer or in the entertainment business, and he kind of brushes her off about that comment. He hasn't really said too much about what he did the last month. If she's been out here in Dakang, or like her dad said, performing in front of kings and queens, would she really have known about King Kong? The news about Kong wouldn't have gotten out to the world. I know he's the eighth wonder of the world, but the world wouldn't have known by then. So I guess that makes sense. This is not the age of the internet or cable TV, so she wouldn't have had live footage of Kong and been like, "Oh, you're the guy who did the Kong thing."
That wouldn't come for a small little bit till television came.
Absolutely. So Carl Denham, he goes to a bar with Englehorn. They get a drink, and they find Hellstrom there, and Denham knows who he is because he's the Norwegian captain and this is the only real connection he has with the previous movie, Hellstrom, is the map of Skull Island. If you remember in the first movie, they say, this Norwegian captain gave me a map of this, and it doesn't mention who he is. This is the guy, so I guess that's kind of a connection. So they're talking, and Hellstrom knows that Denham found King Kong on Skull Island, and he goes, I helped you find the island. Any profits that you got off of the Kong thing, you could kind of give. And he's saying that because he has
no job, no certificate.
Just like that. And also, he probably is wanting to get away from Dakang because if they do any research or whatever, they may find out that he had something to do with that. I don't know. Somebody could have seen something. So he's probably trying to, get some money and maybe get out of there. So Denham is saying, I got nothing out of this. It went south like nobody's business. I'm broke. I'm being sued by everybody. And Hellstrom's like, yeah, okay. Hellstrom then talks to Denham about the treasure of Skull Island, that basically the civilization that built the wall like thousands and thousands of years ago, it's their treasure, and they left it on the island.
And he goes, he's like, treasure, what's it? And that was also my reaction as well, but I'm like, okay. There's a treasure now.
It's a MacGuffin, and of course the word MacGuffin I think was invented by Alfred Hitchcock. It's a thing that everybody wants. Can you name some MacGuffins? Let's see. The stones, the Infinity Stones, the Holy Grail from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, the Ark of the Covenant, the Maltese Falcon from the Maltese Falcon with Sam Spade as the main character. So there's so many different, MacGuffins, the thing that everybody wants. It could be a bag full of money that has fallen off of a truck or something. It'll make our dreams come true if we can just, keep the cops off our tail. That's a MacGuffin. In this case, the treasure is the MacGuffin, and the whole reason for going back to the island. They don't even know that, quote, Kiko or Son of Kong or Baby is even there. It's possible they could get treasure. So Denham and Englehorn, they go, let's return there, and they're going to have Hellstrom go along. Denham gives Hilda some money so that she can actually leave Dakang and go find her own way in the world, and that's very sweet of Denham. I'm liking his performance in this. Him and Hilda and maybe the animation of Kiko is probably the only thing I'd really take away from this movie. So she keeps asking him to come with him, and he says no. We got to go. So as they're coming closer to Skull Island, you start to realize what Hellstrom really wants to do. He thinks he wants to be the captain. All right, I'm the captain now, to quote Captain Phillips. Hellstrom convinces the crew to mutiny because he tells them, of course, do you remember that 12 members of your last trip to the island, they all died. But Denham and Inglehorn, they lived. So, what do you think about that? So Charlie, the cook, he finds Hilda hiding in the cargo hold.
And she is wearing a very fashionable pair of pants. And she does look fashionable in them. Thing is, it wouldn't be for 20 years until this would be acceptable. Really.
Now, wait. There are some instances where women would try to push that fashion and wear pants. I've seen it.
But it wouldn't really, truly come around, I guess, until, like, the 1950s. Most likely.
Yeah, but women still wore dresses in the 1950s. That was still a thing. So,
and it's still a thing now, so...
Oh, in the 30s, there were women aviators, and they wore these kind of pants that kind of had these little pouches thing on the sides. They're called jodhpurs, I think they're called. But they wore pants when they flew in airplanes and stuff. So they can't go back now and take Hilda back to Dakang. So they're like, we'll just let you go with them. We'll go with us. Once the Venture, or the ship, sees Skull Island, Hellstrom, he springs his trap of the mutiny, and with the rest of the crew, they force Denham, Inglehorn, and Hilda to get on a lifeboat, get off.
And Charlie.
Charlie, is there, but he goes, I don't like the rest of these guys. I'll go with you guys. So Charlie is loyal, I think, he's loyal. That's good.
He's very loyal. In fact, he's such a good boy, he brought guns on their canoe. Fortunately.
Yeah, thank you. So Hellstrom tries to get himself to be captain of the Venture, but they're like, yeah, you may have done the mutiny, but nah, we're chucking you overboard. So he gets hoisted by his own petard, is what you call that. It basically means, you did it to yourself. So they chuck him out, and then Denham's like, yeah, you can come with us, but yeah, they look at him like you suck. So they've got food and 2 shotguns or rifles that Charlie snuck on the board, the ship, and they go to the beach of Skull Island. And who else do they meet but a spear thrown by the native chief, as played by Noble Johnson, and I believe the witch doctor too, because some guy named Clemente, I think, is in there, and he was the witch doctor, I think. So the chief, he remembers them from a month ago, or however long it took, because it may have taken them time to leave the island. But he remembers them very well. The people that died in the village that Kong stomped, he's like, you're the ones who let them through the gate, through the wall. It's your fault. Everybody goes, okay, back up slowly. They get on the boat and go to another spot because they're scared of the natives. They go to this little kind of a grotto, like a little inlet kind of thing.
And there's like a little ledge over upon where they first get to see Kiko, son of Kong. Thing is, it's already been 40 minutes. There's only 20 minutes more on this movie. The pacing is so off. They literally just shove everything at the end in order to, save money and stuff on the stop motion.
Yeah, that's true. But the thing is, though, if this were as long as King Kong, 40 minutes is about right, because that's about how long it took. Except with this movie being way shorter than the other one.
The pacing is still terrible.
It is. And honestly, you've heard of that phrase, a bum rap. I mean, I think this movie got a bum rap. They basically were like, we want you to do this before December. You have only 6 to 9 months or whatever to do it. It has painstaking stop motion, so that means you're going to have to cut corners.
Honestly, it's extremely impressive that they actually got done with their stop motion.
They pulled it off,
Buzz Gibson coming in the clutch and, getting in that impressiveness.
I did not know that about Willis O'Brien. See, you get. I think you have a point of pride as telling me something that I didn't know, and you won with the Willis O'Brien tragedy that I did not know. By the way, I got something you don't know. You know what I heard today? I heard in Japan, in the Yamaguchi prefecture, they are having trouble with monkeys. Monkeys are attacking, and people are like, what are you talking about in the middle of this plot thing? Monkeys are attacking people. They're attacking babies, little walking toddlers, and old people.
And this is relevant because they could probably, combine, Ralph Breaks the Internet style into a massive, King Kong form, huddled together. And
yes, it's their Super Saiyan form. They actually they're paying people to shoot them down with tranquilizer darts. And they tried to put traps out with food, but they were like, we don't want that. It's like, we want human flesh. And you're like, we're living in the monkey apocalypse.
The monkey apocalypse is coming. That is why this is relevant.
the monkeypox. We got monkeypox on one end and monkey apocalypse on the other. And so it's just, and now we're just celebrating monkeys. Hey, by the way, I'm sorry, apes. Here we got King Kong's son. He's 12 foot tall, I guess.
And he's stuck in a ditch.
Oatmeal. He's stuck in some oatmeal, buddy. He's eating some oatmeal. Anyway, is it possible that he goes, hey, I remember your dad. I had something to do with him getting shot down. Okay, here, let me help you out of the quicksand.
Yeah, but this revelation is kind of, he doesn't really react to it much. He's like, oh, I didn't know King Kong had a son. Oh, well. He doesn't really go like, what? I didn't know this. Or like, I don't know, like, He didn't, like, scream or anything. He's just like, oh, King Kong's son.
Real men don't scream is basically, yeah. So, unless you're Wilhelm.
That speaks to Ruth Rose's writing.
So, Denham pushes over a nearby tree, which I'm like, really? You're that strong? Maybe it was already kind of termite, eaten.
There's a little Kong in all of us.
All of us, yeah.
So he grabs onto the tree to get up there, and they find this temple. And Denham sees that maybe that could be where the treasure is. So Englehorn and the others, they scout ahead, and he and Hilda stay behind the temple. And they are attacked by a Styracosaurus, it's a ceratopsian dinosaur. It's akin to a triceratops. They're like cousins, so to speak. The Styracosaurus chases him into a small crack or crevice. Englehorn shoots his gun at the Styracosaurus, and he just grabs the gun in its mouth and bites it in half. The dinosaur in this is not bad. It may be a leftover, unused model from Creation or even from King Kong, but it looks good to me for what it is.
And also, Kiko does be looking good, his nostrils are really big, he gets a lot of, noises that he makes, as if he's, talking to the people, and he's like, oh, I'm trying to talk to you, but thing is, he's like, Dad was just absolutely having a moment, about
we'll have to show that here.
They gave him a dirt face, man. He's like, dirt. He's got lots of personality. You got to admit that.
He's a Teletubby. He has Teletubby energy.
So, the thing about it is he, instead of, King Kong kind of go, in the first movie, he's like, and he's growling. He was actually, he made you nervous, what's he gonna do? He's like godlike, but this guy Kiko, he's just like, and I was like, he reminds me of Jar Jar Binks meets Gumby, and he's got these expressive eyes. They're looking all around, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
And for those who don't know what Gumby is, I think he's like a claymation figure.
He's a claymation figure. I would probably think
he kind of looks like, Forky meets Sour Patch Kids kind of look.
Meets a block of cheese. I don't know what he looks like. He looks like gum. Now, there used to be a Christian stop-motion looking animation thing called Davy and Goliath. It was a little boy and a dog. It was like, hey, Davy, a little dog like that. And he had these eyes, and he's just kind of walking around. And I'm like, that's what reminded me of Kiko, is they're trying to make this guy into a character that kids could like. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. There's even a part where he looks at the audience and shrugs.
He shrugged. He turned into an emoji for half a second.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say that stop motion has fallen out, over the years. And very recently, its name has been tarnished by, Seth Rogen and his, Santa Incorporated.
Oh, the Santa Claus. That was terrible.
I had heard of it, but obviously can't watch it due to its adult content.
But it's super bad.
It's super bad, and it tarnished the name of stop motion and its writing is just terrible.
Well,
and
they did it. They did it in homage of the old Rankin Bass animated things like there's like an Abominable Snowman guy, and I'll have to show you some of those. This is called Rankin. Just look it up in YouTube. Rankin-Bass stop motion. And there's a lot of those you'll find. And
there is some good stop motion animation out there somewhere. Like the Shaun the Sheep movies are pretty good. I remember those like pretty fondly. I don't remember
Wallace and Gromit.
The plots really, but yeah, Wallace and Gromit and Shaun the Sheep are both really good, stop motion stuff.
Box Trolls, and of course we've mentioned Kubo and the Two Strings. I know we've gotten off track, but now back to the dinosaur attack. Now, over near the temple, Hilda and Denim are fighting a giant cave bear. And of course, yes, there were large giant cave bears in prehistoric times, just like giant sloths and things like that. So Hilda screams. Of course, she's nowhere as good a screamer as Fay Ray, but I don't think anybody could. She is the queen after all. Hilda screams, and then Kiko comes over there and wrestles with the bear. It's no King Kong versus the T-Rex, but it'll do.
They're trying their very best to give him his own little tiny fight scene.
Buzz. Buzz is trying. He's doing his best.
And then again, Mighty Joe Young is better. It is.
Yeah, it is, and when we get to that, we will definitely...
If you want a tiny gorilla who just happens to be a little bit larger than a normal gorilla, Mighty Joe Young is the movie you should watch. This movie, not so much. I mean, it's a good movie a little bit, but Mighty Joe Young is better.
There is a remake of Mighty Joe Young that is either in the 90s or the 2000s. I think it's the 2000s, and it's actually pretty good. The effects are good. When I watched this movie, when Mighty Joe Young, the remake, came out, I was watching that going, this is what, if they made a Hulk movie, this is what I want the Hulk to look like, how big he is. And then years later, the Hulk movie came out. But I watched that going, this is good as an ape movie, but I was like, this could be what they could do with the Hulk, and it could work. Anyway, that was just what I thought.
So, yeah, we get Kiko. His finger, his middle finger, got damaged in the fight, and so she has to tear off a little bit of cloth off of her dress, and fit it around his finger. And me and Dad were just absolutely, fussing over the fact that it was his, middle finger.
It's his middle finger, and he looks like he's showing it to everyone. I'm like, oh, Kiko, stop it. Just, Kiko, no, Kiko,
this was not on purpose, but I guess the bird did a 180-degree twist in terms of yaw.
So, of course, he's hurting, and Hilda and Denim help him out. I don't know if he feels guilty for what he did to his dad or not, but he's just being nice, I guess. So, yeah, they wrap it around his finger. He does actually apologize to Kiko for... do you really think that Kiko understands English, is my question. So Hilda and Denim are able to get something to eat in the jungle, and they're like, okay, well, should we get the coconuts? There's coconuts in this tree. Will you try to get it? He tries to push the tree again, which... He doesn't do as great a job as he did before. Kiko comes over and shakes that tree, and coconuts are falling all over these guys. And, of course, it just makes me remember the song Williams' sisters sing about coconuts. Anyway, they make camp outside the temple, and Kiko is just kind of chilling nearby. And the next morning, Englehorn, Charlie, and Hellstrom are up, and the dinosaurs are gone. They have no guns.
No job. No certificate.
Denim and Hilda try to get into the temple. Kiko smashes the wall down, I guess, which helps them. They get in there, and they find a necklace with huge diamonds atop a stone statue.
Stick to me, kid, and you'll wear diamonds. We're all rich.
Well, what are you going to do with them?
Yeah, I guess maybe a sailboat would be more useful.
This is all of a sudden turning into a D&D game where they're,
Indiana Jones kind of style.
Yeah. So Carl Denham, he's like, Kiko, can you get that for me? So he gets up there. They're like, we have the treasure. And then this reptilian creature, like this dinosaur, he comes in the cave and attacks them. It's like can we, they're putting, instead of having a break in between the battles, they're just like, gotta go battle, 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 done. Kiko grabs the beast, puts a tail around his neck, which kind of reminds me of the Elasmosaurus King Kong battle in King Kong's cave in the first movie. So I think it's maybe they're doing something similar. Like, remember this, guys? We're gonna do it too. Not as good though.
They do put like little googly eyes on the reused
right.
model, right? So I was just like, come on, man.
The eyes make it look like a cartoon.
Look at that. That looks absolutely terrible.
Trash.
They were just like, let's just cobble something together and give it goofy eyes.
Yeah, so Kiko throws him on the ground, punches him in the head until he stops moving. Oh, fun for kids and the whole family. So Kiko is like, I won. And the lizard creature, he comes back alive and bites him. He punches him again, and now he's dead. All three of them head out the temple. They meet Englehorn. When Hellstrom sees Kiko, he gets scared, and Denham tells the others to get to the boat while he stays behind and gets the rest of the treasure. Okay, and here's where this story goes bananas.
I mean, it kind of went bananas when, we had Kiko use a gun, like a rifle, which was probably why they got the National Rifle Association, other than to get their name out, was because there was
Did he point it into his own face?
Yeah, he did, and, he pulled it apart.
Hey, kids, fun for the whole family.
Fun for the whole family.
Put a gun in your face.
The powder is so delicious.
Yeah, it's gunpowder. You can it's like Ovaltine, kids.
Sulfurous.
Yeah. So that sulfur smell means it's working. So a storm hits the island and earthquakes begin to tear it apart. I think God is going, nope, you have blasphemed the name of King Kong enough. We're going to destroy this island.
I feel like I get what they were going for. You grab the treasure out of the temple crumbles over, the giant boulder, Indiana Jones style. They were trying to do this, except with the whole island. They just grab the treasure, and the whole island just disassembles itself, as we see
They
here.
wanted to have a big action sequence. And I think they couldn't think of anything else but to just blow it up. I mean,
they did, have a climactic dino stampede planned, but then obviously the budget and the time were so tight they couldn't do that. So they managed to do this while there was
a dino stampede in the King Kong remake. Okay, so Hellstrom jumps into the boat, but a sea serpent comes out of the water and eats him. Yeah, you're done. So Hilda, Englehorn, and Charlie, they get on the boat, and they're floating away as the island is crumbling like a cookie into the sea. Okay, so the temple's collapsing. Kiko and Carl Denham are on the temple, and they climb outside. It's like the last part of the island to go. Kiko climbs to the top, and he's like, let me help you. So Kiko's leg gets trapped in a rock. He can't move. So the lifeboat that holds Hilda, Englehorn, and Charlie is coming. And Kiko grabs Denham and holds him high above his head as he sinks below the water. He sacrifices his life for Carl Denham. That's sweet, but it's like, okay. So they get him out off there, and all they can do is watch the ape die. The storm ends, and the sun starts shining. Englehorn sees a boat that can help them. Now they're on the boat, and Denham is looking out across to a rear projection of the ocean, as one does. Hilda comes over and says, what are you thinking about? And he's kind of sad that Kiko died.
They also do try and split the treasure. Denham is thinking, we'll split it 4 ways. But Hilda is like, how about we split it 3 ways? 1/3 for Englehorn, 1/3 for Charlie, and 1/3 for the both of them as a couple. And that's very romantic. And, for this final scene, especially if you watch it on HBO Max, you can see the restoration people just nope out of it. And the quality starts going to shambles. And I just thought that was so funny. No one cared about this shot either. They're just like, screw it, I'm done restoring this thing. Look, no one's restoring any of these shots.
No, they're not.
Everyone hates
This
these.
is Son of Kong. No one restored it.
But yeah.
I did think that the way that they interact and talk to each other, it's kind of cute. There are some people that they when they do the romance, they push it like, "Oh, I'm in love with you," and it's just so dramatic, overly dramatic, and you think, well, that's not going to last, because those really passionate relationships that are that big don't always last. The thing about, with some of those people, you ever seen those people that kind of, they argue a little bit now and again, but they really do care about each other and they're real sweet to each other, like an old married couple? Those generally last. At least in most movies they do.
And that's spectacular.
Yeah, I think they related to each other real well. I thought this movie was like, when it got toward the end, I didn't check to see how much time it had left, and it felt like it took its foot and planted it firmly on the gas pedal and just shot to the end, and it felt like, whoa, what is going on?
We had a lot of, especially Dad had a lot to say about this ending, which we will play here. It collided with the bottom of it.
An earthquake? Out of nowhere? What is going on?
You didn't explain
Wait
anything.
a minute. The treasure was keeping the island from destroying itself? What?
This is crazy.
The whole island's sinking. What?
What? Why?
Yeah, why?
Just why?
The whole island's gone. What is going on? Is he keeping Denim alive? Or is he going to drag him to the depths of the ocean?
Nobody knows. The ending was absolutely ridiculous. Thing is, that's this movie. This movie did not really need to exist, but it does. But thing is, it's a pretty okay movie. The stop motion it's impressive that they got to actually do that in less than 9 months, to the level that they did. But otherwise, this is it's a movie you can watch for entertainment. It's fair entertainment. You can watch it, get a little bit out of it. It's a pretty average movie. This is kind of what the times were like.
It's not great.
It's not as great as King Kong was. King Kong just had it down, especially with budget and time that they could, get it across and take that year and get something amazing. And when you don't take a year, you generally don't get so much amazingness. But thing is, it seems that this podcast season, funnily enough, is about, 8-9 months in the making.
Right.
So we have quality. We have quality, assuredly, but making a movie in that amount of time is a little bit rough.
Yeah, it is. But I've seen situations where the way that movies are made nowadays, especially with the digital and the way they can edit things so quick, they can turn a movie around, at least most of the production, in 4 months, and then do the post-production in 5 months, and it looked really good.
And thing is, this movie was not The Monster Walks. That one was an absolute B-movie from the beginning. This movie wasn't really trying to be one, but it's not really a B-movie. It's just, got less budget, yeah.
In terms of the movies that were kind of meh stinkers, in comparison to The Monster Walks, I think Son of Kong is better than... I'd rather watch Son of Kong again than watch The Monster Walks.
The Monster Walks is absolute... Like, this movie, you could watch it and it's, pretty fine. Monster Walks, not so much.
2 times was enough for me.
We'll definitely see a bunch of movies as we go on in this podcast in later seasons where they were just absolutely terrible for reasons of budget as well, maybe, or
the effects were bad,
or the
acting
is terrible, just because of budgetary or time, reasons, because they want to get it out at a specific time, they want to save money, all this stuff.
But these movies exist, and you can get something out of them. Like I said, there's a podcast that I used to listen to, or still listen to. It's called No Such Thing as a Bad Movie, and their whole point is, this movie's bad. Well, wait a minute. There's something to get out of it in terms of enjoyment, and is there something you can enjoy about it, or pick a good element that makes you want to watch it?
Like, for instance, Plan 9 from Outer Space, the thing you can get out of that movie is laughter, and especially the memes.
It's so over the top. Yeah, it's over the top.
Use stupid minds. Use stupid minds.
Yeah, there's another movie called Attack of the Killer Tomatoes that's so goofy, and they use non-actors in certain parts, and they're just like...
if you like to talk to tomatoes, if a squash can make you smile...
If you like to waltz with potatoes...
If you like to waltz with potatoes up and down the produce aisle...
Then they've got a movie for you.
They've got a movie for you about killer tomatoes.
Well, now, see, I'm a vegetarian, so you're making me kind of hungry. So I think that would be hilarious to have them, the VeggieTales guys, come out and sing a song, and then I reach down and just eat Larry's head off. All right, with that said, combining violence and childhood movies, here you have Son of Kong with its violence.
We will come back for our finale of our season, which will be The Invisible Man, 1933.
Yes.
It's a much better movie than this one, and it'll be definitely a lot of fun to do. There's a lot of, elements, especially with The Invisible Man, that had amazing technology, and I'll be excited to look forward to that one.
There are some actors in this that were in other Universal movies, like little side roles that... In these Universal monster movies, they had some side roles that they would use a lot. There's this lady character named Inga something or whatever, and she is really grates on your nerves. And she was in Invisible Man. I think she's in Bride of Frankenstein as well. But she's annoying, and they put her in a lot of these.
Oh, was she the bride? Did she play the bride?
No. She plays this lady that just... She's just a side character lady that watches after the house or whatever, like a maid or like a lady of the house.
But out of all the movies that I have watched that were in this season, which consisted of Frankenstein, Dracula, and The Invisible Man was the first chronological watching of all of those. And I'll have to tell you why I liked the idea of this and wanted to watch it. As well as, a bunch of other stuff. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, and don't disappear too long.
So don't disappear on us. We may be disappearing, but we'll come back for another season.
Yeah, we will come back into visibility. We're not going to go away for too long. We really, honestly, no matter what movie we watch, we have fun watching it, even if we're just absolutely flabbergasted and flummoxed and losing our minds. At least I'm losing my mind with my son.
You've joined King Kong and Son of Kong doing a podcast together, and join us back for our finale, and that'll be pretty good.
Yeah. The next episode is Invisible Man, and we'll see you when we get to that one. Have a great day, week, month, whatever you're having right now, season in your life. Have a great one, and bye. Don't forget to open your third eye and telepathically message us at cinefanpod@gmail.com. Set your chronoscope dial to the future setting and peruse cinematicfanpodcast.wordpress.com. Hunker over your ham radio as your keen ears listen for the ghostly voices tweeting on our Twitter @CinematicFanta1. Exchange all of your money into Republic credits and donate at our Patreon page at patreon.com/cinefanpodcast. Ending transmission now.